a very nice lunch in City Park today and a wonderful $1,000 experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you. It was nice. They're very good. Oh, yeah. I love the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found out.
Yeah.
We love the.
How's that been a little while?
It's honestly gonna be so much better.
Yeah.
For, I hope everybody, but for us specifically, to just not have to like, here's your check, Joe. Oh, here you go. Yeah, like, we just write one check.
Yeah.
No. Okay. I love it. I think just, can you tell me when you want to do that?
I think that you, as board members,
And then, do you guys wanna wait, or, I mean,
you want to give her 5 minutes, or do you want to be going, because you're here on time?
Let's just give her a call.
where, yeah, for the first three are.
Inform the city.
We could be done in, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the cutest thing, that's the cutest picture.
Hey.
You know.
Once we're deciding, are you close? Perfect, all right. Walk in the door.
Oh,
That's what we're going to do.
We're not,
Oh, listen.
your view is probably 2 weeks.
Right.
And, he was 10 pound, like, and.
Oh,
I one thought of 6 and 2. Keep doing. We're not, yeah, well, like,
Yeah.
So and doing something, so they would get out the vouchers.
yeah.
So I would write a check and write them next year, which is kind of part of the goal,
Yeah.
but it was like. When it's, people took that as we're no longer doing this, and it's like, so would be. And that's what people come and want.
Hi.
This is like, it's a totally dumb. Sorry.
All right.
Just good.
Everybody get over. Judy, my phone. Can I buy that? That's a pretty good idea.
Okay, today is December 19th, and I'm gonna call to order the Downtown Management Board meeting. The first thing is the consent agenda and the approval of the regular meeting minutes from November 21st, and I need to get an approval on that.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
anybody else have anything? What about the payment of the November bills? Would anybody like to discuss that or approve that?
Didn't we just,
Yeah.
we just voted on the entire consent.
Oh, we did the whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm still sleeping.
Doesn't have to wait until you want to share it.
That's true.
Oh,
But the consent agenda is all.
all of those above. Well, I guess we have approved the consent
No, we have not.
agenda.
Second.
Oh, I thought, okay. I'm still sleepy. All in favor of the consent agenda? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Now we're gonna move on to public comments. I do see we have somebody that joined us, Brian Hall, and that's it. Doesn't look like anything. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the new business. And the first thing is to discuss the 2023 trolley season report.
Okay, so have that in your packet.
Mhm.
Those of you who are on the park committee, you can see this.
At their, see, I said everybody put their mics on and I didn't do it. Those of us,
those of you who are at the parking committee did see this. The goal is to have some discussion and some input here tonight, go back to the parking committee and then get a plan. And April will be working with the parking committee to put that plan together for 2024 and based on the results of this year. So I thought I'd just run through it with you. I hope it doesn't get boring for the people who've already seen it. But I think it's just important because we did spend quite a bit of money on this year and it was a lot of time and energy. So we ran the trolley as often as we could this year because we were trying to see what worked and what didn't work. So we tried everything that was possible and we ended up, you see the hours that we worked there: Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 to 10. Wednesdays and Sundays were from 10 to 4 in the heat of the summer. And then Labor Day through October 15th, we shrank the hours back. We had four drivers that were hired this year. 3 of them did have to receive CDL training and their extra permit certification, and they worked an average of 18 hours a week. You can see the schedule here, or the ridership for how many people rode per month, and you can see that August we had the most riders, almost 3,000 riders. It did dwindle down quite a bit in September and October, but it also dwindled down because we weren't running as many days. So that could be, and I guess I could have, should have, and I still can go back because I have the logs for every single day and say, okay, how many did we have on those days? So we could see even on the individual days, we could break it down even further. I did break out how many riders rode during the day, how many riders rode at night. You can see daytime is much more popular. The idea of riding into the night was if you're picking up people at the marina and or people at the campground or Magnus Park and they have a few drinks and they don't want to drive a car home, it keeps them off the road. I don't know that maybe the demand isn't there for that. I honestly don't know, but we didn't, let's put it this way. Most of our riders were sober and and fine to ride in the evening. We did get sponsorship from Bayview, which I would expect next year again, $2,500, Stafford's $1,500, and Grandma Shorter's had a conductor sponsorship of $1,000. The expenses are listed out for you, and they came to just almost $19,000. That next year you would not have any of the driver training expenses. We probably wouldn't have to buy new tires again, but you don't know what you might have to. Do you have to have a new transmission? You just never know. But those are the things that we had to do this year. The startup costs were taking it in and getting it checked, fixing up the oil. They did a quick detail on it. I don't know. It's a chunk of money, so you better know how you want to spend it and when it's important to you. You can see the comments from the driver wrap-up meeting. This is all from the perspective of the drivers and what they thought when they were taking people around. They really feel that the trolley was more of a placemaking experience than it was a method of transportation. Very few riders got on at State Park, and that was, this year we even went further into the state park than we had in the past years. We used to be in the turnaround that's out in the front by that log cabin as you pull in on the left. We went all the way into the campground this year so that they would all see us. We did not have great luck with getting the poster posted or the word out to the campers, but that, could be worked on harder. They have a transient group of people, not many come back year to year to year. They have new people every year. So I don't know if, not everyone, but a lot of them are, but that is something perhaps where there's room for improvement if we decide to go there again. I talked to the drivers about looking for shopping bags, and they said that they did see some, but other than sidewalk sales, they didn't see, packs and packs of them. People were not overburdened with them. Well, I'm thinking about it. They did have a couple of requests to have, can I bring my bike on? And there were also requests to bring dogs on, and if there was room, the dogs they always were allowed to do that. One of the drivers said that if the DMB would purchase a second trolley, there would be one trolley to run the regular transportation route and another trolley to take people on tours and show them a good time. And then that was one of the drivers who just loved to show people a good time. So we had one driver in particular that was over the top in friendliness, so. We had a problem with the city workers who would park in the reserved spaces by the railroad tracks on Lake Street between the two sections of the park. They are very used to using that spot to park when they're working in the park, and that's the trolley stop. And we even jimmied there's a bike corral there that we've asked to have parked there, put there, because it would keep people from parking on the railroad tracks, but we even moved that to the other side of the street to encourage the to open a space that was hash marked off for the city workers, and we had problems with it. That's gotta be resolved somehow, some way, to look at next year where the trolley stop should be at that point. It's congested in there and it's a big trolley. It's hard to move it around when you don't have enough room. One of the drivers suggested a two-way radio to public safety. She'd had a incident with someone that she picked up at Magnus Park and didn't feel safe. And I believe it was alcohol and maybe some mental capacity more than threatening, but the drivers felt that the route needed to be shortened because people wanted to get on it to sightsee. And if you start out of the state park and you're not getting back to the state park until 3 hours later, however it worked on the route, it's too long of a ride. Nobody wants to do it. So the idea was to start at the state park and pick people up along the way and get them to downtown because it's a transportation. That's the goal. But that may not be the goal that you decide to work with moving forward, or maybe you have some shuttle quick routes that move around and then you do a couple out to the Netherlands. I don't know. That has to be looked at for next year. I'm beginning ahead of myself. But this was anecdotal, but they said that a stop should be added at the back lot because people always wanted to go to the back lot and the drivers would tell them where it was, and there's no stop over there because it doesn't go down Michigan Street this time. Some of the drivers complained, or one of the drivers complained that the wait stops were too short. She didn't have time to leave the trolley, use the restroom. The other drivers felt like they were longer than they needed to be. They'd pull up to a stop and they would sit there for a while and they wanted to get going. But the idea is to give people time to load, give people time to ask questions. Where are you going to go? What's the route? All this. And also to give you time so that you're not running late. And traffic in the summertime can be a problem. So I don't know what the science is to that moving forward, but it should be looked at, I suppose. Some people didn't like the QR code. The parking committee talked about this. The QR code is what the QR code is. Is this the trolley in Savannah, the trolley in Charleston, the trolley in Holland, Michigan? They're all run by QR codes because you can change the trolley the schedule when you want to change the schedule. It takes people directly to your website and then they can see what's going on. But there is some resistance still to that. We do need to take the trolley off the road. I agree with the drivers here, at least one day a week. It needed to have its oil changed and there was no day to take it in to get it changed. There are very few places. There's only one place that I've been able to find that could work on the trolley because they have a hoist that will put it up. I might be wrong about this, but it was Breaks by the Bay, and waiting to get it in could be irritating at times. So there needs to be a down day so you can schedule that. The trolley drivers thought there should be a trolley captain or someone that could handle routine issues. And I think there's some self-promotion in that suggestion, but I also think that, that could help because they float out there, they go to the barn, they pick up the trolley and we don't see them in the office, they're out on the road. And so I think they feel like they're just floating around out there. They would like the storage to be closer to downtown and to Dare Oil. Dare Oil is where the city fuels their vehicles. We're part of the city fleet, and it's way over at the far side of town, and the trolley's way out the north side of town, and we don't even go close to Dare Oil in the route. We can't fix that right away, but it's been confirmed that when the DPW builds a new building, there is room for the trolley to stay there, which would take probably $1,600 out of the trolley budget. Because it used to be $1,200 a year at Northland Storage for the trolley. It's now $1,600. So the trolley would be parked there for free, and it would also be closer to the fuel stop. That was just confirmed just recently. The drivers felt the trolley should run from Memorial Day to Labor Day. We don't have data until the 1st of July because we didn't start till the 1st of July this year because we didn't have everyone trained. Then they also like the idea that tickets should be sold for the fall color season. The drivers could learn a script and it would be a true placemaking event that people would get on and ride for. We have that cultural heritage traveler that comes, we call them the gray hairs that come in the fall, and maybe that's a great idea. I support that idea. You can see the comments from Grandpa Shorter. Drew, I didn't get anything written from you, so I haven't dropped it in yet. Okay. And the Bayview Association, who was the one who pushed so hard this year and was so willing to give so much money, she hasn't sent one either, but I don't think she's working that much during the winter season. I think she's keeping limited office hours, so we need to drop 2 things in there. Andy told me today that 16,000 visits to the trolley webpage were generated from the trolley. These are to the website, and they went to the homepage and then they got to the trolley page. She doesn't have a number, but she said she could set up this next year for how many people went directly to the trolley page with the QR code. But
16,000 was directly to the trolley.
was directly
Yeah.
to the trolley.
Yeah.
Then why wouldn't that be the QR code then?
Because they could also Google downtown Petoskey trolley.
Okay, so that's how they did
Yeah.
that. So that's not directly to the main page then. I misunderstood.
Yes, yep.
Tell them what it was, so they.
Well, it was 16,000 visits directly to the trolley webpage.
To the trolley web.
Yes, how they got there could be the QR code or by Googling it or seeing it on Facebook.
Okay, so we know that it's important to get people to the website. We got a lot of people to the website, so.
We actually got so many people to the website that multiple
That's true.
times it was crashing our website because it was overloading it, which was not a fun problem at the time, but now looking back at it,
Yeah.
it was kind of nice.
Well, it's nice to know that can
Yeah.
happen. At the parking committee, they asked how much staff time was involved in this. And I am including here that there was a lot of staff time at the beginning of the season in preparation. It was getting them certified, getting them trained. Hiring them came pretty easily this year, but then it was very difficult for me to set up the schedule and the route. It'll be April's job next year. She worked for Federal Express, and she's got road experience, so maybe she can just do it. I kept saying, God, there's gotta be an app for this. I just can't figure it out. Every time you change one thing, you have to change the whole everything, and it was very hard. It's not the kind of thing my head wrapped around very easily, so that was time consuming. Once the trolley got on the road, I just said in here maybe an hour a week, but it wasn't a solid hour. It was somebody would call me about something or to troubleshoot something, or one of the drivers would say, we're out of shopping maps, can you bring us, it was that kind of just maintenance, and it was a 2-minute job here, a 20-minute job there. It wasn't anything that was overwhelming. There's a list here of things that need to be done during the off season. They did already fix, I think I took it off. The interior lights needed to be replaced, but they did do that for the parade, so that's taken care of. Just some routine maintenance things. There's some body work on the outside to have it look really, really nice. It needs some painting, and I don't know. I have not gotten a quote. I don't know how much that kind of work costs, but there are some scrapes on the side and where they cut the curbs too close and people cut up to them, and it's, you just have to take care of it. It should look bright and shiny. So I would like to have you discuss this and give your comments so that they can go back to the parking committee. My recommendation is, even though the parking committee did discuss this, but my recommendation would be to keep it in-house at least for 1 more year. I feel like you're gonna lose the brand if you put it to Fletcher's or Johnson's or someone else. I worry about that. And that's part of the reason that the job description was written for our parking mobility and accessibility person. That's in their job description and something they're expected to do. And you're paying that person for that. So that would be another reason. I like the idea of the fall color tours. I don't know that there's any reason to run it later in the summer if you're not going to do that. I didn't see it. I saw many shifts where 4 people, no people, 10 people, you know, I just didn't see the use of it other than that. And I think that running it Memorial Day to Labor Day is probably, that would be my recommendation for next year. I still have this idea that if you ran from 10 to 10, maybe you'd be doing the restaurants a service, bringing people in. But I think it depends on the route that you choose too. So I do think, Drew, that we did pick up people at the Bayview Inn and bring them into town or take people to the Bayview Inn for dinner. I do think that's the one time that we did. And maybe it was just Perry people that we took back and
Yeah.
forth.
I wanted to get, that's why, that's my excuse that I'm using for not getting.
Oh, because you wanted more
Because I wanted
specific.
to understand more about what they experienced and how often it was used by baby and guests. Cause I know they advertised it.
Microphone.
Sorry.
So, thank you.
Yeah, and so be careful because there is someone that's trying to listen. I tried to listen to the council meeting from home last night for the first time. And if they don't, if you're not on the,
We do have a comment from him. I
Okay.
don't know when to say it or not. Do you want me to say it now?
sure.
Okay, we have a public comment that says if you go to the trolley, if you go to the website, it doesn't have the route map. So maybe put the QR code on the site. It has the downtown Petoskey map, but it doesn't have anything about where the trolley stops. That also might be, because the trolley season is now ended.
We took it off.
So we have,
right.
we've taken off some of that information, but we potentially could put a map on it of, you know, the route too. Instead of just the schedule.
You
'cause
have
typically
this
we
in
just
your
have the
packet as
schedule.
well that goes,
So
it
thank
says
you.
where the stops are, but you know, maybe we need a physical map. I mean, other than just listing where they are on this, that might be a good idea.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts from?
Well, Becky, you talked about the fact that you constantly get calls for hiring out the trolley. So perhaps we look at the model of running the trolley Memorial Day to Labor Day, say the 6 days a week, you take Wednesday out for maintenance. And then September and October, you could do some historical tours, but those could actually be at different times. And maybe you rent out the trolley for weddings and special events at a price that then covers our remaining costs.
I would recommend that totally. I get so many calls asking for that.
So it could become something where this actually becomes self-sustaining if we could pay for our expenses, but yet not shortchange our customers who want the trolley throughout the summer.
And the original mission.
Right.
I was just gonna say, what do we think that the mission is for the trolley as far as transportation, placemaking, what is our feeling as a board?
As well, you can discuss the original thinking behind it was, it's paid for out of the parking fund. No, maybe you can change the mission anytime. It's paid for out of the parking fund because the use of it is to get to people from different from 1 year was from Bay Harbor, but it's from Magnus Park, from the marina, from the state park, from Bay View, to get them into downtown to shop. And not have to worry about a parking space, shop and dine, and not have to worry about a parking space, not have to worry about finding one and not take up one. So that's why it's paid for out of the parking fund. But the mission can be changed at any time. A board can do that.
Yeah, I guess my comment would be, there was a lot of guests that would come in and they had a different expectation about the trolley than what it was.
Mhm.
So they did not expect it to be a way for people to get brought to downtown. They thought it was a placemaking, like if somebody made a comment about the trolley, it was their perception that it was a way to see the area and things like that. And I think that's because most like private commerce trolleys or things like that have kind of moved into that direction as like a combination of way to get around town, but also a way to learn about the area. And so I guess my concern on that is if we have kind of the blended model, I think that will make it a little bit even more confusing. I think it's a great way to pay for it, but I think it's like, it's harder to change people's mind about what it is if it's doing both things at the same time. It's not necessarily a reason not to do that, obviously, but I just think a lot of what my experience was this summer was people have a different perception of what the trolley is. And I think it's a bigger thing to answer if we want to try to delve into those other like verticals, quote unquote, or like other options to use the trolley for. So like if we are gonna rent it out, but only, not during the summer, I think that will make it a little bit confusing. If we are gonna do historical tours, but we're only gonna do those in October. I just think it's important for us to be mindful of what the identity of the trolley is, but then there's the argument of maybe the identity isn't filling the need. So, so I guess that was just kind of like what I observed when I talked to people about what they thought the trolley was, like guests coming to stay at the hotel and enjoy our amenities of the downtown.
I think when you work this out and then you work with the drivers at the beginning of the year, it has to be well explained to the drivers that, okay, your transportation, okay, your sightseeing, so that they know, because I feel like they wanted to be sightseeing, but they were frustrated by the fact that people didn't want to stay on it that long or by other reasons. So,
And it's a wonderful feature that they added a lot of stories and different and it kind of changed throughout the summer. So like the drivers took that piece on, which was a big positive. And from my experience of riding on the trolley and stuff, they had a really good positive outlook when it comes to that. But I do think it's, they need to be the champions of what it is. And if what the feedback that we're getting from them is, we're trying to serve two demographics or two different things at the same time, I think that could make it hard.
well, so you and Jennifer are both on the parking committee, so you can.
We'll take it back with us and ponder it again.
To the marketing.
Marketing.
We created a new committee last week.
Yes,
It's marketing.
putting in billboards. They're yellow and.
All right, well, let's move on to the downtown, the reports of the Downtown Management Board committees.
Okay. Marketing and promotions, Andy, you want to go?
Yeah. Are you gonna talk about downtown?
Yes.
Okay. The marketing committee met, actually just, what day is today? Tuesday, so just yesterday. So you do not have their minutes in the packet, but I'll briefly go over them. We discussed the 2025 calendar. That was a project that the marketing committee, the marketing committee did the 2024 calendar this year, which I think everyone remembers. And then we are starting to work on this project again for the 2025 calendar before the end of the year. We did a nice little incentive during this holiday season with the downtown calendar, which for every 100 downtown dollars you purchased through our office, you were gifted a downtown calendar for 2024, which is really nice. I think we've given away 40 to 50 calendars, which has been really nice. We're really Christmas time is a really hot time to get downtown dollars. And then you guys even had someone who likes the calendar so much, they bought more downtown dollars to get more calendars. So I thought that was really nice. So we're starting that promotion here shortly to start with the photo contest because we did a contest to get the photos that are featured in the calendar. We did a nice holiday campaign for shopping this month or the holiday season, which included some ads in Petoskey News Review, a radio ad, a couple e-blasts, a Northern Express ad, obviously social media, and then also something that I was really excited about is I hope everyone got it, but we did this year, which is new, an every door direct mailer. Which was this really nice postcard with a QR code that linked to our business directory. It just came out last week, which was really fun. I got a lot of text messages about, my friends receiving them. It went to over 16,000 people or addresses in Harbor, Petoskey, and Charlevoix. This kind of holiday campaign, especially this mailer, was in kind of replacement of our holiday catalog, which just might have been, kind of, it served a good it served a good purpose at the time and place, but the marketing committee chose to do something like this instead. So we have which was really, really fun to get in the mail. And then very fridge worthy as well. But we have really good plans for a nice campaign next year as well, which could include more than one this year, just because of timing, we are only able to do one postcard. But next year, possibly doing a postcard in November to start the holiday season, and then include a schedule of our events coming up as well. Shop Small Saturday, the parade, the open house, that kind of thing, and then another one in December to encourage shop local. So that was really fun. And then I think the other biggest thing that we talked about is I was approached by a downtown business that is interested in being a title sponsor of the holiday parade. They approached me actually the week of the parade this year, so obviously it was way too late to do anything. But their interest is in 2024 and going forward. So the marketing committee is going to work on a sponsorship, a title sponsorship packet. Which would include some criteria, but also include, a time commitment length. That way these sponsorships aren't kind of tossing over every year, being, the parade sponsored by someone different every year. But then also in opening it up to downtown, hey, we put together the sponsorship packet. If anyone's interested in sponsoring, this, let us know kind of thing. So that's something the marketing committee is going to start working on actually very soon here. They're going to meet in January to start putting that together and kind of what that title sponsorship looks like. Also, since the Rotary is basically the facilitators of the event as well, we want to get them on board with it and just notify them that, hey, we have someone that's inquiring about this title sponsorship, which also could lead to more questions because they could say, oh, hey, we have someone who's outside of the downtown district that's on our Rotary Club that's interested in being a title sponsor. So there's just a couple things to think about to work out, which which I will not be here for, but I'm sure they'll have a good time figuring that out. And so Becky and I are actually meeting with Rotary on Thursday to do kind of a recap of this last holiday parade, which was really lovely, but you still run into those same things that we've run into. And now we have changed the date and the time for 2024, which would be a 10 o'clock parade, and it'll be the second Saturday in December. So then along with that, we have some criteria that we're gonna, present to Rotary as well for continuing the parade. It needs an MC, what kind of things it needs. Kind of things going forward with that. So I think that was the main thing that we really talked about and that we'll be working on. So that'll be coming to the board, a title sponsorship packet will be coming to the board probably in January to kind of go over and then spend some time kind of working those kinks out. And then another fun note is, I don't know if, so this was our holiday open house poster this year. Featuring image from Kevin Barton, which was really fun. He actually, as soon as I saw the image, I reached out to him because we have used an image to promote, typically his image to promote holiday open house in the past, a couple years ago. And he was thrilled for me to reach out to him to see if we could get the rights to use the image. And he actually said when he painted this, when he painted it, he had, the open house in mind. So we now own the portrait and the image, which will be used as our holiday open house logo image for the next 4 years to come, which is really nice. And it's we worked with somebody's gallery downtown for the painting, and then also Kevin Barton has his studio downtown above Simon's. So it was really nice to work with those two downtown businesses. And obviously it's nice to, when I was delivering the posters, everyone was like, oh my God, it's beautiful, Kevin Barton, and like everyone said that. So it's really nice to pair this iconic artist in downtown, you know, who features downtown so nicely with this open house, which is just an iconic event to begin with. So that was really fun. And it'll be nice to have that going forward for the next couple of years. And then my last thing is I will be away on maternity leave, starting like 2 weeks. So I will be away from January until beginning of the March. So I'll see you guys in March when the snow melts. Hopefully, if we get snow. I mean, I don't know, but yeah. So Becky will be running the marketing meetings until then, and they have already set up a date to meet in January, which is a little different than the regular scheduled date, but they want to start working on the sponsorship packet. So I think that's all for me.
So I was just gonna add to that a little encapsulation of the Downtown Dollars program. And the reason we're kind of breaking this up like this is because going forward, you're gonna have a parking person, a marketing person, and then an overseer. And the Downtown Dollars will, because, and I'm gonna explain this, they're both departments work on these, so the new downtown management person will probably be the one to ever report and oversee the whole program. So parking committee for the parking office, because they set up for cash management and they're open regular hours. And there's always someone there for regular hours. And because I ripped off and duplicated from Traverse City, and this is how they do it, they're going to be the cash management or the money manager of the whole of the project. They're going to sell them and send them out and take the money in and redeem them. The marketing department will be the one to promote them, to get the merchants to agree to use them, to make sure that everybody knows what they're doing. When they do take them, make sure that they follow the rules for them. So that's how it goes forward. And one of the reasons we're really wanting, well, it's new change of leadership, but it's also that we're going to be selling a whole lot more of these, because you read what the notice we put out about Stafford's, thank them from up one side and down the other. Several years ago, Reg had given me a number of Perry bucks or merchant dollars that they had put out, and I didn't keep it, and it would be a whole lot more since then, but it was thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that they had sunk in to every time they have a package, or not every package, but that they would give to their people who stayed at the hotel, and they could spend them in the downtown. And that's a great partner to have. Not very many downtown merchants have a hotel in their downtown or have someone that's doing that for them. So it's a very nice thing that they're doing. There has been confusion in the past because they don't ask their people to give change. If you've got a $10 merchant dollar, the person just spends it. And if there's change, the merchant keeps it, which does allow them to double dip, because they keep the change and then they go to Stafford's, and they went to Stafford's and they got the whole amount. So, but we are asking we promote the Downtown Dollars. It's just like cash. Give them the change. We're going to give you, if it's a $20 downtown dollar, you're going to get the whole thing back. You're not losing anything. So now Stafford's is going to be using Downtown Dollars in their packages, and it's all going to be one rule. And it's going to be a lot more Downtown Dollars. That it probably will be the same amount of going back into the downtown community, but a lot more Downtown Dollars flowing through the parking office to be recorded, to be managed, to be refunded, and that's fine. We're happy to do it, because then we see what's going on. We thank Stafford's very much for all of this in the past, and going forward, it's going to be a great partnership. So
We thank downtown for picking it up.
we just like each other, don't we?
Yeah, no, thank you for, everybody's been great. I think it's really just trying to make it more simple from our perspective. So it's like, I guess for the record, Stafford's always enjoys having that downtown presence, and we would be silly to not take advantage of all the beautiful shops and things like that, because that's what our guests want. So that program is not ending. It's just, we want to move into the Downtown Dollars. So I guess just to keep that message up front, and if anybody thinks differently, I'm happy to chat with them and think and kind of work it out. But basically having one place to send and one set of procedures we felt was very important for all of the downtown merchants as well, and just try to make things a little bit more simple. So that was kind of the objective thought behind it.
Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate that because it does lead to some confusion, but we've always appreciated the program. And we just wish that everybody in downtown would accept downtown dollars without any issues.
Yes.
Or confusion.
That's the goal.
Every year I give out thousands of dollars of them
Yes,
to my
you do.
staff, and every year staff members come back and tell me of places they have gone where they've been told that, oh, we don't accept
Mhm.
these,
Or
or
we don't get change.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So,
And my children have received them every year for Christmas, my adult children, and they know where they spent the easiest, so that's where they go, so we need to. We need to simplify that, so.
Yep.
We'll do it. The other thing I'll add to that is if there's time before I'm out of here. There might be a new product that we can look at that is a card of some kind that you can, there are problems because of point of sale systems. And you don't want something that can be used at Walmart, you don't want something that's just labeled. Downtown Petoskey with our logo, you want it to only be able to be used in our stores, so. But I haven't looked for anything new in at least 3 years, so we'll see. That might be something we do too.
I just want to say, I thought that the Christmas parade was really beautiful.
Oh, good.
I know it's
Yeah.
changing, but it was
Yeah.
neat.
It was kind of bittersweet. Well, I also got to ride with Santa, which was like a high experience too, because it was like riding with royalty. But I will miss the night parade just because you see the lights and all of that,
It
which
was,
is
yeah, it
really
was
fun.
magical.
Yeah, it was really, really
Yeah.
cool. And just the amount of people that are downtown for it.
I walked down from home and I was amazed that it was like open house night.
Yeah.
You know, the cars were parked all the way up the streets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My boyfriend drove Santa, and there was a couple times when there were some pictures taken, and there's a couple times where he looks so panicked because there's so many people and just groups are just like just in the streets, and he's like, oh my God, I don't know who's, and then there's people running up to the car giving notes to Santa, and stuff like that. But so it was an experience to actually be in the parade too. I'd like to get some, like some bouncers or something that like make sure people stand on the sidewalks. But it was a really, really, really sweet parade. So thank you for that.
Also,
Yeah, there was some funny pictures, but
for the downtown calendar, can we add the moon cycle to it?
oh yeah.
Add the what to it?
Like when it's the full moon and.
Yeah, moon cycle, oh, I thought you said
That's the one thing on it that I miss.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. I can do that. Cool. Thank you.
I did ride in the parade in the trolley this year with my granddaughter. That was so fun. She just was a doll about it, but I didn't never know that there were that many people along the route because I'm always, my job has always been to stand at the grandstand, and if there's a hitch and, let somebody know or there were years when I stood up at the high school too, but the Mitchell Street is very, very full. The parade is meaningful to the community, so much more than I saw, that I know. So we have our parking, mobility and accessibility director to give the PMA director to give a parking report.
All right, so I'll just go quickly through the highlights. The holiday sponsor, the meter sponsors, we had 32 and everybody's paid. Thank you. And
Wait a minute, we need to on that.
Everybody's paid before the end of the year.
Right.
but last year it kept going into February, so the fact that it's completed before the end of December is awesome. So thank you, everybody. We also touched on permits, and the parking committee has decided no special permits at this time upon request. And then we're going to continue looking at different permits for locals and what kind of other programs we can have. There's also the jury duty. There was free parking for juries, and that was going to be tabled on specific areas of where they can park. And then when we go down to scofflaw, the folks that aren't paying their tickets, we have started legal proceedings on one of the offenders. So she should be served sometime this week. And then, we've also been discussing in the parking committee some of the immobilization enforcement tools, and that's what this barnacle is. This has been on for discussion. This has not been through the Warrior or parking committee guidelines, but this is a visual. So if somebody has, say, 5 or more parking tickets that are unpaid, then this is a suction cup device. They get applied to the driver's side windshield, and then when they call, they would be able to put in a code, and then it releases it. So this is $250 a month, and then regardless, and then everything that's collected would go straight to us. Okay, so this is this visual tool, what it looks like. They use it across the United States, specifically in Michigan. There are private properties and campuses, so public locations.
Excuse me, I see, City of Petoskey already on there. Or did they just put that on there?
They just put a little logo.
Okay.
From us, so it was a visual.
Okay, I didn't know if it was used already in some other capacity that
No,
we weren't aware of.
no, it's come up as some of the owners that have private parking lots, and this would be a cool tool to manage.
Well, when it releases, where do they put it?
We would have a drop off location, or there's a box where we could have them run into the office.
What if they don't find it? They don't
It's,
do that.
yeah, it's GPS enabled, so
Okay.
there's also, if you try to tamper with it. Not get your fingers stuck. If you try to tamper, there's a really loud alarm that goes off. And then there's also GPS enabled, so if someone took it off before getting it, then we would be alerted as well as public safety. So, and if they just drove, like with their head out the window, then that would be tampering. But we would know exactly where it is. There's nothing imminent, but it's a ability to have a tool to put in place. Without booting or towing, because if the car's towed, then we don't get any of the money back. But like,
So I think one of the nicer, I mean. One of the advantages to this could be that we could do it. You could do it at a time when somebody owed maybe $500, maybe $1,000. That all has to be decided. You can program it any way you want. But you get out of the situation of somebody ever owing $10,000 and they either get a judgment against them and they got to pay $100 a month for the rest of their life, or they have to pay it off, or it's just something that we never do see. So I mean, that's part of what is selling me a little bit on it, is that it could nip some of this in the bud, and it also could be a message to the community that parking is an ordinance and we're enforcing it because that's our job. And it's like, you get a ticket for speeding, you get a ticket, you got to pay for it. So the attorney right now, we're waiting for, this is legal, but the city attorney would be the one to defend it, and he's gonna get back with city staff about his opinion on moving ahead, so.
Do we have a timeline on when the attorney will be responding? I know that we went out and asked that question 60 days ago, perhaps. As a committee,
I did meet, all of staff met with the attorney within the last month, but 3 to 4 weeks ago, with all of their internal questions for them. And every department has, zoning has questions, they're all, and a list was given to him. And then I met with the city manager last week and I asked for an update, and he said he had not heard anything, but that he would get to him and make sure that that happens. I don't think it's gonna happen Christmas week, but that's where we are.
I've emailed, not received responses from. Okay. The paralegals.
On this or on?
Correct. Or on the the next round.
Oh, I thought you had corresponded with,
She came in with a citation, but she said she was gonna follow up with a lawyer, and we haven't heard back.
anything else?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we've already done the reports. Oh, no. What about the reports by city staff? We don't have anybody, but would you like to?
Well, I have some other reports to.
Oh, you do?
go. Yes, I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were
It's all
done.
right. We're trying to get this, organized. And speaking of organized, the organization task force
I forgot about that.
did have a Zoom call, and met, with, a representative, Kate Green from HR Human Resources Partners. And you do have her, her PowerPoint in your packet. They're looking to, contract with her. She did send a proposal yesterday evening. And it is a $200 an hour. It outlines doing what she says in this PowerPoint. But the estimated cost would be $20,000 because it's $200 an hour and she knows how much time she usually spends. I think I've heard from I've heard from all of you on the organization task force, and I want you to speak for yourselves tonight. I want you to with the rest of the board that we think we should go ahead with this. I did email her after I got the proposal and ask what happens if they don't find anybody? Because they might not. Some of the tactics she's going to use are tactics that we already have used. So I don't have that answer. She has not gotten back to me about that. So I don't know. And I want to know that going forward. Nobody wants to wait till the next meeting. We want to get the consensus from the board on this because we want to get it going. There's a timeline of 8 to 10 weeks that it could take or more. And then they find someone and they have to give a month's notice. So there's some haste and some reasons to get moving on it. So but with that in mind, I don't know that, but before anybody signs anything, we will have that answer. So, but anybody on the committee want to speak for your experience with Kate and
So I was on the chamber board when we used Kate and her company to do the executive search to find Carlin's replacement. So that was the end of 2019, very beginning of 2020. And I thought that her methods were fabulous. I was really impressed with the entire process. We were kept in the loop. Things moved quickly. She has good resources to work with behind the scenes in terms of getting people to apply. And I think what came from that was that we hired the very best candidate. And because we had hired an outside search firm, even though 2 out of the top 3 candidates were internal choices, we really were able to prove to everyone in the chamber that we had picked the best choice for the chamber. Because of that experience with Kate and her cohorts. In meeting with her last week, I was again impressed with her methods and how she goes about finding candidates and then also working with them to bring them in. She did caution us with the fact that it might be difficult to get someone to move here and be able to afford to live here. So we need to be cautious about that. She said cities and municipalities are getting creative with how they approach the housing issue across the country in terms of it might be that they find housing and guarantee 12 months of housing, or they provide a stipend or something. Somebody I think built an apartment somewhere or had an apartment that they reserved just for that position. But my thoughts initially and now is that we move ahead and hire Kate and her company to do this search.
I was in on the meeting also, but have not worked with her in the past. And I feel the same way as Jennifer. She's very well organized, very well spoken. She has a process, in place. And, I felt, very good with what she had to present. And especially since we kind of ran into a dead end road, with our own search. I think this is very important. I think it's a very important role to fill. She seems to have a lot of connections also, which is nice. And she seemed like she'd be very easy to work with. That's just my perspective of the conversation.
That was my biggest take besides the thing about Kate specifically was that. I mean, this is really important job for the city and for us to be hiring that. We want to make sure we get it right or be as sure as we can that we're getting it right. And so the cost for that, I don't think is prohibitive at all, especially given. What happened when we tried to not use one, that it wasn't an overwhelming success or avalanche of candidates, so. I think I'm definitely on board with moving forward with it as well.
And speaking of the cost, this is the professional services, there's no motion that needs to be made tonight. I mean, I could make this decision, I will not make this decision without a committee behind me, but. The budget for 24 reflected a salary for this person beginning January 1st, so this cost will just come out of that amount that you don't have someone beginning January 1st, so.
It's part of her process, like supplying some of those things that you mentioned, Jennifer, like some of those out of the box concepts of how, okay, so like that
Yes.
would come with
Correct.
some of those recommendations, okay.
Yes.
Sure.
And then also in terms of, looking for candidates, she's also looking at what professions out there have the skill sets that we require for this position. So it might not be where we find somebody who has done this job in another municipality, but maybe we find somebody who has the same skill sets and would be able to transition into this job. So she will be looking further afield than just other downtown directors.
And I thought that was interesting too. She said that she works with an employee consultant or wage compensation, a compensation consultant, I guess. And just recently, the MDA had done a salary survey that was more comprehensive than one we've ever done in the past. And so I had some pretty good data on salaries. And but she's saying that this compensation consultant will look at, this is what the skill set that this person is bringing, what those people get for those skills in other professions, not necessarily what they get when they're gelled together in a downtown director position. So that's another thing that red flags to me that this is going to get expensive. So it's got to be done right, Joe, because it's going to cost a lot of money. So just wanted to make sure that there was open discussion here tonight, and
Does anybody else have any feedback?
I trust my committee members too. To vet this out.
Well, it's the hardest place in Michigan to recruit to. Period, bar none. I don't think there's another spot in the state that's gonna be as difficult to identify somebody, so I would be hard pressed to find an alternative that I think is better than this, obviously, and I think that I think it's gonna require some of those creative solutions, and so I think having a professional that's willing to work some of those into it, I think is gonna be important. So I guess that was my biggest question was, is that a round 2 type conversation, or is that we're getting that out of the gate? So
she's already mentioned some of those
yeah,
things, so.
and that's great.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely positive.
I just feel like I have to comment that 20 years ago, when I was so excited to come here, I was so happy to be able to come to, because I visited here and I knew the town. But at that time, I was married to someone who was an entrepreneur, and if he had a laptop and his cell phone, he could go any place. And that was new then.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've almost gone through that cycle and we're out on the other side now. It's just interesting that.
If, well, that's a rabbit hole, but if that was gonna happen right out of the gate, I think we would have already gotten it.
We would, right,
So, I think it's not a bad thing that we posted it before we decided to go with a professional. But at the same time, that also wasn't at the tail end of the Great Resignation era and those sorts of more advanced leadership that I think that this position is going to require. Is gonna be something that will have to be tailor made in some respects.
the only thing else I have is just a couple transition projects that I'm still working on. I'm hitting the wall at the entryway sign at Lake Street. There just is not property there that we can use. Although they. Did you find some?
Oh, no, I just have something.
I had a conversation with Mike Robbins today. He said, Becky, there's the MDOT has it when we put that sidewalk in, I mean, he says, I'll keep looking for you. Maybe I can come up with something, but. And then we have the changeable message problem that I talked to you about last month. So I don't know. I don't want to come up empty on that, but it's not looking great right now. We're still working on the signage at the parking office store and the parking office store is okay, but the marketing office store needs to change. And I'm going through the process of approval for that. It's more complicated. It's interesting to be the one, you have a new merchant that comes to town and they have to go through this and you help them and you tell them what, and you hold the hand and tell them what they have to do and get them through City Hall. But when you're actually doing it, it's a whole nother learning experience. And then there's the plan at the beginning of the year to clean up the special assessment role. But there are properties on there that the city assessor is not comfortable with the way they're listed and how they're assessed, if their basement is being used, if their upper stories are not. And he's asked that this board go through that as soon as possible so we can get that cleaned up at the beginning of the year. And if there's time in the next 90 days, I'd have a little bit of a lead on how we could possibly change the special assessment process so that it happens every 4 years instead of every year, which would be save staff time, not even this staff, but city staff as well, and heartache going forward. So. And that's all I have.
The thing I thought of is that, so obviously I'll be away for winter weekend. And obviously, ice sculpture stands are always,
Oh, this is a good
yeah.
thing, yeah.
I have been trying to figure out something to do for ice sculpture stands. And I've contacted Harbor Springs to see what they use. Their ice sculpture guys actually provide the ice sculpture stands, but then I learned that they actually take them with them when they leave too. So at the end of the event on Sunday, they literally take the ice sculptures off and set them on the ground and take the stands and leave. Which I thought was kind of funny, but I've contacted the building trades program at the high school and talked to the teacher today, told them that we were, the size that we would like and that kind of thing. And I'm hoping to get like 35 to 40 stands made for ice sculptures. We've been in touch with the city to see if we can store them somewhere. So then hopefully Becky and parking don't have to make stands out of recycling totes and stuff like that. But it would be, and he said, I sent him I talked to him and then sent him an email with all the information as well too. I think it'd be a great little partnership with them. We'd be benefiting the building trades program, and obviously paying them for the labor and or making a donation, in the appropriate amount to them. And I even told them that if they want to put a logo or a little tag or something on the side of the stands, that would be really great too. But then it'd be something that we would use year after year, and then that would also look appealing and nice and that kind of thing too. So that was really exciting to talk to him. So fingers crossed for that.
Storage is going to be the challenging thing, but
Yeah.
they suggested a place. We have to
Figure
scope
out
it out.
what,
Yeah,
yeah,
figure out
but
what it
regardless, we'll find a place to put 40 ice sculpture boxes. So even if
Great.
it's, yeah, so it's fun.
Maybe it's in Andy's garage.
Yeah, right. We don't have to park in the garage. It's fine. So, yeah.
I would like to point out, Becky, you did win an award last week.
Oh, I meant to bring that up. I really meant to bring that up. In fact, Kendall and I were talking about that at the staff meeting this morning because it comes in 2 pieces. And I said, well, I'll take the lucite piece. You can have this. He said, just you can keep it at the office. So the Downtown Management Board, in conjunction with the city, got an architectural award for the design at Mitchell Street and the before and after. And so, I mean, you guys know I hate this kind of stuff. I did not want to get on that stage for any reason. I did not want, but I did it because they needed to know that that was our project and that we did it. We backed it for all those years and it meant the world to us to get it done. And so that was very nice to get that award. And another, Stafford's Hospitality received a beautification award for, the painting at, the Bayview Inn, which isn't in downtown, but you know, he's on our board, so we can bring that up. And Jennifer did a great job on the stage as well. This is the Chambers Champion. What are they? No,
Night of Champions.
Celebration of Champions.
Yes.
It used to be breakfast, but yeah.
I gave an award. I didn't
Yes,
receive an
yeah.
award.
She gave the
I gave
Athena
the
award away.
speech.
Yeah, and she gave a speech. Yeah, I'm telling you that award, that getting that was a big deal. We needed to get that project done and we did it finally. So. Yep, thanks, Jennifer. I would, that would have been 11:30 tonight. I would.
Just want to make sure you go to sleep. Yeah, right. No. No, you want to email and stuff. Yeah.
That's all I got. So I don't know if you have any more public comment there. I can't read that, but.
No,
Nope.
no more public comments. Well, if we're done with the management board committees, we could move on to the reports by city staff.
I can
Would you
just tell
like
you, I
to
was at the
give a
meeting
overview?
last night. They worked on the short-term rentals, STRs. This is an emotional. Everybody has strong feelings about it, and there were many in the audience. There's several in the audience who had very, very, very strong feelings. And it's a difficult process to work through. And I feel for city staff as they try to follow the rules and please as many people as possible. So I can't really speak to, they extended the moratorium that they had on them until the end of January. They talked about lifting the number that 40 was the number that was thrown out there. Some on council, they could have set that number last night, but they decided to table that. Some on council thought, well, maybe it should be more than 40. So I don't know exactly where that will go, but it was an emotional meeting. The rest of the meeting was pretty regular. There was nothing that Kendall has some grant money that he's going to be able to get things that he was able to do the roof at Winter Sports Park for less money than the original bid, and that's a good thing. And they got another bid that was lower on the work to be done at Sunset Park this summer. So those are two good things that happened. So. And the reason the mayor is not with us tonight is he was not there last night either, is he's had some surgery in his hand and is recovering from that. So other than that, he's fine. Pain, you know.
anything else by any of the board members? Nobody on the chat?
Nope.
Well, if that's it, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting and tell everybody to have a nice holiday.
You too, Robin.
Woo-hoo.